ultimate guide to the W204 C63. In this video, we're going to talk about the differences between the different models of the W204 C63, some of the different options that you might get, and just what makes this car special in general. So if you're in the market to buy one, hint hint, it's a good time. Or if you just like the car, sit back, relax, and hopefully you will enjoy what you see. And if you do, if you like this video and subscribe to the channel, I'd be really appreciative. So with that, let's get into the video. So why am I making a video about this car? Well, first off, I think with the rumors coming out of Germany that there's potentially a 4-cylinder hybrid drivetrain coming into the next generation C63, there may be additional interest from people to purchase the last naturally aspirated car, which is the W204. It had the 6.2 liter V8, and again, we'll go into the different variants, but I've also owned a couple of these cars. They're phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of the car, and I just wanted to share some of my own experiences. So with that, let's talk about the first generation C63. Something to note that in 08 and 09, you had the true first generation, where in 2010 and 11, they made some very minor tweaks, but we'll just call that a Gen 1.5, and we'll talk about all the differences. In 2008, the W204 C63 AMG debuted in US markets. The formula for this car was pretty simple. Mercedes-Benz took their newly designed C300 and put larger fender flares on it, hood bulges, larger wheels, larger brakes, and to top it all off, they put the now legendary M156 naturally aspirated V8 engine with 451 horsepower and mated that to their 7-speed speed shift transmission, and thus the C63 was born. And just to give some perspective on why the C63 is just so special, let's talk about the prior generation C-Class AMG, the W203 C55. This car had a 5.4 liter naturally aspirated V8 which had 362 horsepower. The C63 was a 25% jump in power, 89 more horsepower than the outgoing model. And just as a side note, the C63 Black Series, it had the same exact transmission as the C63, and it did not have automatically rev matching downshifts. You had to tune it to get that same functionality that the C63 had in the same exact model year out of the factory. So, pretty special. Okay, so back to the Gen 1 C63. Again, this one went from 2008 to 2009. You had the 451 horsepower engine. There were no horsepower upgrades to this car from the factory in 08 and 09. However, there was a performance package in 08 and 09, which basically gave you a mechanical limited slip diff. It gave you 10 to 15% stiffer suspension, which turned out to be some of the stiffest suspension you can get in a C63 from the factory based off of later body styles. You got 2-piece brake rotors that were still steel, but they were 2-piece. They looked a little different. Calipers stayed gray, and you got a suede insert on the steering wheels at the 3 and the 9 positions. Long story short, if you could find a development package car, get that car. But otherwise, there was an option to get navigation, which was essentially a pop-up screen from the middle, and aside from that, you had a variety of interior colors and trim colors. Alright, now, a car that's very near and dear to my heart, what I will call the Generation 1.5 C63 sedan. This car was made from 2010 to 2011. I personally had a 2010 for a year, and it was a phenomenal car. Basically, what Mercedes-AMG did was they took everything that was great about the 08 to 09 car and just slightly tweaked little things about the car to make it even better. Aesthetically, the main way that you could tell these two cars apart were their side mirrors. In 2010 and up through the 2015 coupe, they had the enhanced LED side mirror that came on a majority of the different Mercedes-Benz models. It was even easier to tell these two cars apart if you had the AMG development package, now referred to as the P31 package. Aesthetically, you now got red brake calipers, you got a carbon fiber deck lid spoiler, and you retained the same suede inserts on the steering wheel from the 08 and 09 cars. But this was only if you got the AMG development package. A couple additional differences from this P31 package was that you did not get a LSD limited slip differential as a standard option, nor did you get the stiffer suspension, but you did get lighter internal components on your engine and a 30 horsepower boost over the standard engine. This was a legendary option and immediately made the car more desirable and valuable in the pre-owned market if you have the P31 package. So it's pretty clear that Mercedes-Benz made a strong impression on the automotive world and the enthusiast community with the first generation C63. It's just an overall incredibly well-built package, and the drivetrain, for the most part, is, as near as makes no difference, bulletproof. Now, there's only one thing that has come to light as of recent years, and in the 08, 09, and half of the 2010 cars, there is a risk of encountering head bolt issues in your engine, and this can cause catastrophic damage. The good news is there's preventative maintenance available. You can get this done at a dealership for about $3,400 or cheaper if you go independently, but it definitely is something any prospective first generation C63 buyer should be keeping in mind. In 2012, Mercedes-Benz debuted the second generation of the W204 C63, and for the first time, in addition to the sedan, we got a C63 coupe. The sedan was only in production from 2012 to 14 because the new model was coming out, but the coupe went on to be produced through the year 2015, all of which use the same 6.2 liter V8 power plant, but your horsepower and torque ratings varied based off of the option you selected. It may be a familiar story, but Mercedes knew what they were doing when they came out with this car. They made nominal improvements to the things that needed improving, such as a design that was okay when it came out, but they needed to refreshen the exterior, make it a little bit sharper. In the interior, they integrated a screen that was static in the dashboard as opposed to one that popped out. So they essentially just freshened up the car, improved on some of the shortcomings, and there were really not a whole lot of drawbacks in the Generation 2. In fact, the new coupe was an incredible addition to the whole lineup. They literally just chopped off two of the doors, and the car exterior-wise remained 90% the same. So it was a really good design through and through. So what really changed? Well, for starters, LED lighting was incorporated into nearly every component of the car, ranging from the headlights, which now had bi-xenon lights, as well as little LED accents. Also, the fog lights were now just LED strips. The interior lights were now LEDs, as well as the reading lights from the rear view mirror, and the dome lights in the car, as well as all the buttons in the car. And the rear tail lights and license plate frame lights are also LEDs. It really did freshen up the car. And speaking of refreshed, the entire front end of this car was redesigned to look more aggressive. You could tell it was an evolution because it lost its curves and essentially got pointier. Even the headlights were sinister in the way that they were shaped, more angular. The hood bulges, again, angular and more dramatic in their design. The front bumper and grille, although minimalistic compared to today's AMG standards with the waterfall grills and the big air intakes for your radiators, it still was pretty aggressive looking, and when this thing pulled up behind you, you wanted to get out of its way. As for the rear end, the only main difference is they modernized the way that the rear diffuser looked, and they kept the oval exhaust tips. And by the way, everything I'm saying applies to both the coupe and the sedan. In fact, the main reason that you're seeing so many pictures of this white coupe is because it was my personal vehicle, and I was lucky enough to draw from my own archive when making this video. Now, there were a couple things that did differentiate the coupes from the sedans. For example, in the coupe, you can get the panoramic roof as an option, whereas in the sedan, you could not. You just got the standard moonroof or sunroof. However, in the sedan, you got the legendary C63 seats that you got all the way back in 08, 09, 10, 11. In the coupe, you got a different seat that just didn't seem like it had the same level of bolstering. It had a headrests that moved up and down, but the seats in the sedan, you just have to sit in them to experience how great they were. So that's a pretty big selling point just for the sedan alone. And now I want to talk about the various performance package options. Similar to the Gen 1.5 cars, the P31 development package makes a return to the Gen 2 cars. Now, it offers essentially the same exact benefit as you got in the prior generation, which really meant 30 more horsepower, upgraded brakes, higher speed limiter, suede on the steering wheel, and carbon decklet spoiler. Again, you want to find one with the P31 package if you can. So you might be thinking, was this car in its 5th year of production just a exterior facelift and some interior comfort mods? Well, I'm gonna play a video and let you decide. So you probably noticed a little bit of a difference in both of those videos. And in the second video with the Gen 2 car, the transmission made louder pops on the upshifts, it was a little quicker on the upshifts, and it was able to do launch control from the start. Now this is primarily due to the different tune in the transmission, but you now have a more sophisticated transmission and drivetrain mode selector, which allows you to go from Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, Manual, and RS, which stands for Race Start. So now you know the differences between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2, both aesthetically and mechanically. However, I can't end this video unless I talk about two more things. Ah yes, in 2014, Mercedes-Benz did away with the P31 package and introduced the all-new Edition 507 Performance Package. This package was essentially giving the car more components from the SLS AMG motor, which boosted the power to, you guessed it, 507 horsepower. The sedan and the coupe got it. You got an enhanced interior that was bespoke. You got a badge that said it was a special edition 507, a little bit more suede on the steering wheel, and you got a very interesting hood that came from a different car in the lineup. Yup, you guessed it. How could I possibly make a video about the W204 and not mention the C63 Black Series? This was essentially a hardcore, visceral, track-oriented version of the C63. You can get this car without back seats. You can get it with the enhanced aero package, an enhanced cooling track package, all kinds of things that they did for this car that essentially turned every function and feature of the standard car up to maximum. Within the standards of Mercedes, of course. Now, I can easily make a whole video just talking about this one car, but I'll leave you with this. Mercedes-Benz, up until today, in 2020, has not yet made another C-Class that was as raw as the C63 Black Series. Well, that concludes the ultimate guide to the W204 C63. If you're in the market for one of these cars, hopefully this video brought some clarity to your search process, or if you're just an enthusiast and you like the car, I really hope you enjoyed it and maybe you learned something new. But either way, I really enjoyed making the video. For one reason or another, I have a lot of useless information about not only the C63, but just different cars stuck in my head. So making videos like this is an enjoyable way to put that information somewhere. So if you liked it, please leave a comment below. If you loved it, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. Maybe I can do more of these ultimate type guides for different cars. So please let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks again.